everybody, to another episode of the TPT Podcast, the TPT Podcast, the TPT Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. We are back together, me and Zach, for another great episode of the TPT Podcast. Of course, we're going to be going over what happened with the Broncos, crazy ending, and then we're going to be going over the Buffalo Bills game, previewing the Buffalo Bills game. A lot of just great football this weekend. We just had a great game with Washington Eagles. Not a great game, but an important game. Zach, how you doing? And how's everything been going lately?
It's been good. It's been a minute since we've done a preview of a game, so I'm excited, especially with this being the most anticipated game of the year, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Can't wait to get into it. We still got to get into what happened in Denver. The Chiefs ended up getting done in, not in Denver, but in Kansas City versus the Broncos. Zach, I don't know about you. They surprised me a little bit. I know defensively they're good, but Bo Nix surprised me a little bit. And obviously he still has those rookie traits, holding on the ball too long and stuff like that. But what did you kind of see from Denver in this last game?
Yeah, Denver impressed me, honestly. Now, I haven't watched much Denver at all because we're normally in that 3 p.m. slot, and they always are. And so right. I don't think I had seen a single Broncos game. I assumed that their defense was, had good stats because they had a weak schedule, but it was soft, and I assumed that their O-line wasn't as good as it actually was on paper. But they impressed me, both their O-line and their defense, and the Knicks also was really, really good, honestly. And I expected him to come with his A-game. People expect Spags to just, massacre these rookie quarterbacks, but you also got to know that these guys are preparing for us more than any team, especially the division rivals. And so I was honestly really impressed, not threatened in any way at all, but super impressed, and it's cool to have a little more competition in the division compared to the past years. Yeah,
competition, let's talk about that real quick, because the AFC West is the only division in the AFC side that has multiple teams in it. So the people who are always like, the Chiefs have a cupcake schedule. Well, they're the only division in the West that has, or the only division in the AFC that has 2 teams in it. I think the North may. I don't know. We look at it. They may have 2 teams.
Yeah. Oh, and
maybe the North does as well. But absolutely, the Chargers are looking good right now, and so is Denver. So that's the biggest thing, is the surprise from the Broncos. I didn't even really see the Broncos being kind of playoff team. Who knows where they make it right now to the 7th seed? So there's still a lot of football to be played. But more on the Chiefs side of this game. What didn't you like and what did you like from the Chiefs in this last game?
Yeah, it's always hard to judge the Chiefs because we have no clue how much preparation, or not, they prepare equally for every game, but how much they decide to show in each game. So they might look way better in this game against Buffalo than they did against Denver, but it might just be because they decided to pull some strings this game that they didn't last game. And so last game was not very impressive, honestly. The defense held them to 14 points, but offense without much talent was getting a lot of yards against us. The offense, there's something up between Mahomes and Worthy. They just have no connection whatsoever. They had the one play against the Chargers, the 70-yard touchdown or whatever, but other than that, Worthy might be the player that has the worst connection with Mahomes in the Mahomes era. I don't remember a player where they're just never on the same page. It seems like
maybe DeMarcus Robinson, but
the thing is, that was after the catch. They were on the same page before the catch most of the time. You know what I'm saying? But then he would run backwards, and so. Right. But they got to get that together, and hopefully, when Hollywood Brown comes back, Worthy gets relegated to just simply a gadget guy instead of a guy that's on the field most snaps. But the offense didn't look great. But again, it's against Denver, and the defense played one of their, I'd say, on the lower half of their games this season, but we still got the win, and it's because of special teams.
Yeah. We'll get into special teams here in a second. Yeah, there's not that really a connection with Worthy. It's like he gets open, but it's never quite there. Um,
Yeah.
and so but that kind of makes me confident because remember last year how like Mahomes kept targeting McCole Hardman in the regular season, and there was never a connection. You'd always get open downfield, but there was never a connection. And then what happened in the playoffs? There was always a connection. So I think Worthy is going to be that guy. There's always a guy every year that's like in the regular season, they're just you can't produce. There's no connection. All of a sudden, in the postseason, it just boom, it clicks. So I think he could be one of those guys because defense is going to be so focused on Kelsey and DeAndre Hopkins that he could be a guy that gets open. Speaking of D Hop, we haven't really talked much about D Hop's play in the last couple episodes. How do you think he is doing right now for the Chiefs?
Man, I think he's doing everything that he's doing better than I expected. Okay, let's just say that. I mean, maybe not as far as production. He had the one really solid game and then two all right games. But man, he is so incredibly consistent. You know, if you throw his way, he's not going to be the one making the mistake. He's not going to, run to where he shouldn't run. He's not going to drop the ball. That's out of the question. And so that's just so great to have on a team because let's just be honest, these last 3 years since we got rid of Tyreek, there's been a lot of receivers that really just made a lot of mistakes, whether it was drops, whether it was horrible, routes running straight into coverage, whether it was just brain farts. I'm looking at Kadarius Toney, I'm looking at MBS, I'm looking at Xavier Worthy, I'm looking at Sky Moore. And so having a guy that we can just trust alongside Kelsey is just it's exactly what we need.
Absolutely, a reliable guy. Like how many times, even in the Denver game, like third down, need a play, and I'm like, let's just go to Hopkins. Because it's difficult for me. I actually was at the Vikings Jags game in Jacksonville. My brother's a huge Vikings fan, so I tagged on with him. So I'm trying to watch it on my phone on Stream East, and it's in and out, and of course, it starts working a while in the fourth quarter. A minute left, it just stops. All these streaming sites, none of them are working. It just stops. So I'm having to watch on little. I'm at the game watching the Chiefs game, and I'm watching the live game because I'm like, I've never missed a Chiefs game since I was 13. So I'm trying to watch it, and it just completely cuts out, stops working. So I have to just go to Google and just look up this. And so I see they're at the 12-yard line, and there's 1 second left. So I'm like, I'm just preparing my head mentally. I'm like, man, I got to watch ESPN this week, and they're just doing this. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're just going to rag on the Chiefs. And all of a sudden, it's just still 1 second, and it's still the same score, 16-14. I'm like, all right, come on, update. And all of a sudden, it's still not updating, and it says 0 seconds. I'm like, what is going on? And my brother goes, oh, my gosh, they missed it. Because there's a little screen in the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium that has NFL Red Zone. So I'm like, no, like you're joking. Like you're just trying to mess with me. He's like, no, look, Patrick Mahomes is jumping up and down. So like I can barely see on the other side of the stadium this little screen that has Red Zone. Patrick Mahomes jumping up and down. So I'm like, oh, my gosh, what happened? So I did not realize what happened. What was your reaction to the block field goal?
Yeah, I was with my brother and my father, and we were just watching the game. We all were like mentally checked out. Like after Bo Nix made that third and long play, we were like, "Wow, this is how we lose our first game to probably the last team we would want to lose to, Denver at home." And I was just watching the play, but I wasn't really thinking about anything. I was like, "It's a 30-yarder. He's gonna make it." So I was just watching, and then we heard boom, boom. Like you hear the kick, and then you hear the bat. So it's like boom, boom. But the camera still kind of went up. And so I was like, now all these emotions are happening within, split seconds. But then we realized it was blocked. We were like, oh! We just started jumping up and down. It was
absolutely going crazy.
It was one of the best moments that I can think of, even though it's such a low stakes game. Just the fact that our win percentage went from like 5% to 100 in a split second.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely something I'm going to remember for a long time.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I would have. If someone said, "Would you rather just win like they get a fourth down stop or win like that?" Because the amount of videos I was just scrolling through TikTok of people, oh, we beat the Chiefs, we won, they ain't going undefeated, this, that, and the other, and then just emotion just leave their face and just like, oh my gosh, just absolutely hilarious. But it was not on that. Dan Orlovsky does an absolute phenomenal job breaking down how the Chiefs on previous kicks in that game, almost blocked it. This was not accident. This was a job by the special teams coordinators and Dave Tope. So it was not accident. This wasn't a fluke or anything like that. They actually studied. What they said is they actually studied is a lot of those many games where, excuse me, where they kind of bull rushed fell over a lot. So that was one of the reasons why, again, people saying, oh, it was lucky, this, that, and the other. No, block kicks like that are not lucky. No, absolutely getting it done. Wasn't able to watch it. I had to go home and rewatch the game so I could kind of really get a feel with it. So, yes, Stream East, you got to pick up what you're doing. And people rely on you. They're relying on you tonight versus Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. But speaking of a fight, we got a fight coming up versus the Buffalo Bills. These are always just absolute just dog fights. Yeah. How do you feel about this one going in? Because this one I feel a little bit different than you.
Usually Bills games, I'm like, I do not want any part of this, especially during the regular season, because the Bills love to put out. Like, we kind of hide stuff. The Bills don't. They just go all out all season. That's why their point differential is like plus 100, even though they have 2 losses. Right. I feel so. This is the most confident I've ever felt going into a Buffalo Bills game. I will say that.
Absolutely.
I will say that. Other than that one year we beat it pretty bad in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the injury report right now. Oh, go ahead.
Even though we shut down Diggs. We'll get injury report here in a second. Even though we shut down Diggs when we usually play them, but they always have like Gabe Davis or somebody. I just don't know. And John's going to play this game. This game is going to be close. I don't want to get in, but yes, this is the most confident someone said, is this game where you kind of win by more than like a field goal, or you kind of win by 7 or 10 or something like that. This has to be the one. Yeah. This has to be the one right now because of, like you were about to mention, the injury report. What's going on with the injury report with the Bills and the Chiefs?
I mean, if you look at our injury report, Butker's on the IR now. We can gloss over that real quick. Right. We're going to be missing our kicker for a little while. It's all right. We're going to go for it on 4th down some more. And it might end up evening out where we get some of those 4th downs and end up scoring more than if we had Butker. But
right.
Everyone else is a go other than the guys that just got off IR, Omenahu and Pacheco. Everyone else, it looks like, was a full practice. For practice, it was either today, this is Friday, or yesterday. That includes Juju. That includes we're going to have all the guys at edge rusher outside of Omenahu. That includes everyone. And so we are as healthy as we've been since week 1. Since week 1. And the Bills are not. The Bills are missing 2 of their top 4 pass catchers. They're missing their starting tight end, Dalton Kincaid, who is the leading target getter for Buffalo. And then they're missing their rookie, Keon Coleman, who's made a few big plays this year. And so what do you think about all those injuries that they have? Yeah, that's the word. Injuries.
Yeah, this is the besides the Butker one, because obviously we've got to get into that. I mean, last time we had Matthew Wright. He ended up at that time having the longest Chiefs field goal until obviously
I remember that. Back
and, had to steal it from him with a 61-yarder. But like you said, you got to be confident because the Chiefs defense is the Chiefs defense right now. And it looks like you're limiting Josh Allen. And when does Josh Allen, when he doesn't have the pieces around him, and this year's different, but he loves to play hero ball. And the Chiefs are going to love if you're trying to play hero ball this weekend and try to force passes. But the biggest thing is they've been able to run the ball effectively with Cook. But again, the Chiefs, what running backs usually go off versus the Chiefs? None. They faced all the good running backs. Derrick Henry maybe had the best game with 60-something yards. But even then, his yards per carry was not great.
I'd say the guy that performed the best, was it Dobbins? Or was he bad?
Maybe Dobbins too. But again, but his yards per carry was low. Because that's the thing. The Chiefs, they've had guys that had a decent game. I don't know if they've given up 100 yards yet. But again, these guys are having to get like a lot of carries to end up having a decent game where the yards per carry is very low. So the Chiefs are always able to stop the run. But the biggest thing with this game is if you can get them in like 3rd and long situations, it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, because they have to drop back and pass. And the Bills, offensive line, it's good, but it's not great. They've seen better offensive lines this season and been more effective. The Kansas City Chiefs defensive line. So Chris Jones is going to get double teamed. I think this could be a George Karlaftis game. But yeah, the only major injury is hopefully it doesn't come down to a field goal or anything like that. And they signed, is it Sean Schroeder? Excuse me, I forgot his name.
Something Schrader. Something Schrader.
Schrader, yes, Schrader. Sorry, Schrader. Yeah, so they end up getting Schrader. He's from the Jets practice squad. Again, last time this happened, it worked pretty good. Matthew Wright cut out there. Matthew Wright did a pretty good job until Butker was able to come back. He'll be out for 4 weeks. Do you think he misses more time than that?
I don't know. Okay, the thing is, it's not his kicking knee. It's the knee that he plants when he's kicking. I don't know how that affects. I'm not a kicker. I'm not a kicker coach. It's a meniscus repair. Meniscus is a major surgery, but it's not, ACL or anything. Mm-hmm. I have no input to give because I'm not a medical professional.
Yeah, again, he ended up tweeting out the surgery went well today. That's awesome to see. But I think he'll be back with 4 to 5 weeks. Again, if that's the timeline they give, that's just what I'm going to go off of because they're the ones that typically know those things. So he should be back by week 15, 16, something like that. But besides Butker, how do the Chiefs kind of get this done versus Buffalo? Because they usually don't get it done versus the regular season. What is the game plan for this game?
We can play our game plan on offense and win the game that way because we match up well against their defense. Their defense has always been known. They do not want to give up the big play. They will play deep safeties. They will allow teams to run on them. They're not good against the run. And that is our MO this year. We will give Kareem Hunt the ball 25 times. It might only get 3 yards a carry, but with how good our third down offense is and how we'll be going for it on fourth more, we're going to have long drives. Yeah. I saw multiple stats this week about how we might not be the best offense at scoring points, but we are the best offense at staying on the field and getting a lot of plays. We have the we have the most time of possession on the year. We have the most 10-play drives this year. We're fourth and first downs. And that is perfect against a team that does not like to give up the big play because that means we can do what we normally do and it'll play right into our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the head of the offense is Mahomes. Before we get into the game picks, is Mahomes back? Is he starting to come back? The last few games, I know he's been playing a lot better. Is he back?
I don't know. Back is weird because back is the best quarterback we've ever seen. Back is low-key 2019 playoff run, 2019 before he got hurt. That's back.
Is it Mahomes-esque then?
He'll always be able to. I have no doubts that when the games are at the most important times, he's the best quarterback in the fourth quarter this year, in his worst year. Mm-hmm. So he's the best quarterback on third down. I think those are the things you have to look at because those are actually the high leverage situations. When he's out here throwing bombs to Worthy once a half, just trying to get some connection with him, that's not the Mahomes that we will see when it's crunch time. And so you can't judge him on the same scale as other guys.
Yeah, I think he'll do pretty well. Again, this is not the same Bills defense we played in the past. So it'll be interesting to see what this week. Who's your X factor for this game?
Ooh.
It could be offense or defense.
It's got to be Kels. Now, Travis Kelce, every time we play the Bills, he has one of his best games of the year. Last year in the playoffs, we had 2 touchdowns and 110 yards or something like that. And that was really his breakout last year because his best games were the 3 last games of the year. Those were his best games, and that was when it started. He didn't really do much against Miami in that first playoff game. And they don't have Milano. They haven't had him the last few times we played him because he's just extremely injury-prone. They don't have the safety duo that they used to have when they used to have Poyer and Micah Hyde. They're a completely different defense from a personnel perspective. And so I see him, especially with the targets he's been getting these last 3 weeks. I think, what is it? Like 35 targets the last 3 weeks or something like that. It's something that A 35-year-old tight end should not in a million years see 16 targets in a game. That's ridiculous.
Right. Had a touchdown last game, too.
Yep, he should have had two. I think Mahomes was not risking, since we were down and not tied, he was not risking throwing an interception. So I think that's how he overthrew him. But for me, it's Kelsey.
I love the Kelsey pick. He's really been playing well these last 3 weeks. And that's why maybe Mahomes has been playing better these last 3 weeks. So I do think Kelsey, because like you said, who really are they going to put on Kelsey? DeMar Hamlin? Like, that's probably they're going to put
good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So I don't really know what they're going to put on him at the maybe linebacker position, and I don't think they're going to really try to put any of those safeties, unless, like I said, maybe DeMar Hamlin. I really don't know. Zach, what is your final game prediction? Take us through it. Buffalo Bills, 4:25 Eastern Time versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, he's thinking. He's summoning the Chiefs gods to tell him what it is.
We're going to put up 27 points. My reasoning for this, okay? We're not going to turn the ball over more than once. We might have one. Okay. We're going to go for it on fourth, and we're going to get it because we're really good at that now that we've Kareem Hunt, unlike in past years. We are going to run the ball on them like crazy, and we're going to convert in the red zone, which we have done better this year, especially as of late compared to last year. Last year, that was our main weakness. We got yards. We didn't score touchdowns, and we're scoring touchdowns now that we have Kareem. So we're going to put up 27, and we're going to hold the Buffalo Bills to 20 points. We're going to beat them by a touchdown. So go to your sports books, yo, and definitely bet Chiefs money line because we're 2.5-point underdogs somehow.
Yeah, and we know what the Chiefs do when they're underdogs. We know what happens when the Chiefs are underdogs. I don't know why they keep doing that. I think it's going to be a good game. I have the Chiefs winning 24-19. I think it's like the Bills are going to get the ball at the end of the game. They get a field goal. It's one of those like 5-point games or 4-point games, whatever. They can't get a field goal out of it, so they have to try to get a touchdown. And I think Josh Allen's going to go and run around, and then Chris Jones is going to sack him, and it's going to end the game. All we're missing from this game is Buffalo Bills players saying something stupid about the Chiefs. They still got 2 days. That's all we're missing. That's all we're really missing is the Buffalo Bills player. I think Dawkins learned his lesson last time when he was like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes has only been here once, and that was during COVID." So
I forgot about that.
And I forgot about it. Yes, we know what it's like. But maybe we get another wide right from the Buffalo Bills kicker. Are you worried about the kicking game tomorrow? On Sunday.
Worried for this game? Yes. Worried outlook wise, we know that we control our own destiny for the 1 seed, and we know Butker will be back by the playoffs. And so it could come to bite us in one of these few games that we play, one of the next 4 games. I don't know if it's gonna be on Sunday, but I'm good with it either way because we've already been through this before.
Yeah, he has not missed a field goal yet. I'm not trying to jinx him, but he's not missed a field goal. When he came in for the Colts this year, he was a perfect. He needed a 40-yard field goal in that game. So we'll see. We will see. Let us know, guys, what you guys think. This is going to be probably the game of the year for the Chiefs. And let us know in the comment section below. If the Chiefs win this, can they go undefeated? Looking at the rest of their schedule, let us know, guys. We voice our opinion about this. We'll see you guys next time on the TPT podcast.